All right, I want to show you a few different ways you can remove little defects or artifacts. In today's video, I had a little spot where there was some tape on the floor. So if we take a look here and we'll zoom in here, and just below this machine, we have this little speck on the floor, and you could see before and after is our fix. Now for this one, I actually did a few different methods to get it to work. Some was paint, some was patch replacer. So let's take a look. Some of these are just going to be varying depending on like the movement. So what I did basically was go through the edit and see where the problem was. So if we go over here to this colored clip, we can see that this one's really close to this edge of the machine. So I believe I did paint out for that. And then anything that had a longer duration, I think I did patch replacer or maybe a combo. So let's grab this first longer clip here and we'll go over to the color page. So now we can see here's our clip. Get rid of the gallery here and we'll zoom in, and if we go on and off, you can see it disappears. And we have effects on this node here. So if I open up the effects tab, we have patch replacer. And if we go to our open effects overlay, you can see what we have going on here. So what I'll do with this clip is actually duplicate it, and we'll mute this bottom one. That way I can go back and not alter that bottom clip. So here's the patch replacer. This is in our effects overlay. If we go to library, you can just type in patch here, and there's a patch replacer, and you drop it on your node. And for this particular one, I have the ellipse shape going on, and I ended up just tracking it. But basically we have a from and to location on our patch replacer. So if we needed something that matched the coloring of this a little bit better, you could move this around to find a color that matches, or if there was some darker portion. A lot of people use it where you get really close to the original and just go right underneath it. That way it definitely has the same sort of light value and things like that. But for now, I just grabbed this, and a couple things that I did was on this patch positions chunk, there's target width and height. I actually just scrolled that down to the 0.010. So basically as small as I could get it. And then I would change this from ellipse to rectangle, depending on what I needed to do. And then with it on, you can see it's gone. And I zoomed in, basically pretty close here. And instead of trying to go in here and move this around, I actually used our patch positions here. So if we move the target around, you can see it covers it. We have some parameters here like variability and blur edges, and this just changes how this interacts with the environment. Right now everything's in default and I left it alone. I do have tracking, but under your tracking window, it defaults to power window. It'll say tracker window. I did that so we would have the clear view on here. If I go over to effects, you get this little plus sign here. And that's because I used the AI IntelliTrack, hit plus, navigated it over to where that dot was. If we shut the effect off, you can see it's just camped out right here, and I tracked it close to the dot. Doesn't have to be absolutely precision, but to get that out of the way, even when I go over here to overlay, you can see the little dot lights up when you get close to it. And if it's pink, that means you're moving the dot. So what I did was track it, and then I just hit power window to get that overlay off screen so I could more easily see what's underneath it. So if we go back to our little effects tab here, now you can see we have some parameters where it's moving the patch replacer as needed. So that's how I did that kind of fix on there. And then if we go to one of the other ones, so this one's got the same kind of thing going on. It's really close to the edge of this moving part of this machine, like especially here. So I did a combo of just single frame painting and stuff like that. So let's grab that. You can see I got a couple markers here. And if we go over to Fusion with this clip and double click, you can see I just have a paint node in here, and that's what's going on here. And I'll show you what I did. If we take this paint node out of the pipeline, you can see if we zoom in, It actually worked a lot better than I thought it was going to. And I'm not like the biggest user of paint for this, but here it is right here. I just selected our incoming node, typed in paint, that connected it. And then I go over here to our Clone Multistroke right there. And then I opened our brush controls and just kind of sized it down a pretty good amount. And you can change the softness. It's on clone already. So that means I need to choose a spot to clone from and to. So if I click here and I hold Option, it turns red, and that means it's sampling there. And now I can kind of just come in here and paint away. And then I go forward a frame and I did the same thing until we just hit all the paint, and I went through the entire thing. And then of course later on when she moves, it was really easy because I zoomed pretty far in here and just did like a little swipe, move a frame, swipe, move a frame, and that pretty much took care of that. So as long as you're on the multi-stroke over here, if you have it on single or something, it's not going to work. So you need this Clone Multistroke dual brush on the upper left, and then make sure you're also choosing clone right here in your brush controls. And you can have overlay on and some other stuff if you wanted to see various stuff or use a different source. And if we go back here, it worked pretty well. And if we go back to our original, I ended up just going through, painting that out. Same thing with this. Looks like that's Fusion. And then if we turn our color back on, Patch Replacer, and I went through the whole edit and put all the parts that I needed to adjust. All these blue ones are sections where it was a close-up or something different. And some got pretty intense, where it was only a frame or two, especially as she's stepping near the tape here. So it just depends on what was going on screen. As you can see here, as we get closer to this, you can see the patch right there. She steps down. I figure it's clean enough because we're zoomed way out to here basically during that section. And then as she steps away, the patch comes back in right about here. And essentially, you're not really going to be zooming in on that for too much because you're listening to what she's saying, and maybe she's talking about something up higher. You're not really focusing on that. So that's how I was able to get rid of this tape piece that did move quite a bit with using paint and patch replacer. All right, I hope that helps. Thanks for watching. Subscribe if you found that helpful, and I'll see you guys on the next video. Appreciate it.